The sleek red Ferrari 488 Spider gleamed under the California sunshine as Ronda pulled her baseball cap lower over her eyes. She'd deliberately dressed down today, worn jeans, sneakers, and an oversized hoodie, wanting to shop without the usual circus that followed her everywhere. After her latest UFC victory, she deserved to treat herself, and that Ferrari had been calling her name for months. The Beverly Hills dealership's glass doors reflected her casual appearance as she approached. Inside, the showroom buzzed with the quiet hum of wealth. Polished marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and million-dollar machines positioned like sculptures. Sales associates in tailored suits glided between customers, their smiles as polished as the cars they sold. Ronda walked directly to the red Spider, running her fingers along its flawless curves. The price tag read $350,000, pocket change after her last fight purse. She'd earned every penny in that octagon, bleeding and sweating for moments like this. "Excuse me, miss." A sharp voice cut through her admiration. "This area is for serious buyers only." Ronda turned to face a tall man in his 50s, his silver hair slicked back and his expensive suit screaming authority. A gold nameplate on his lapel read, "Richard Blackwood, owner." His eyes swept over her appearance with obvious disdain, lingering on her scuffed sneakers and casual attire. "I am a serious buyer," Ronda replied calmly, though something cold flickered in her eyes. Blackwood's laugh was condescending. "Sweetheart, do you have any idea what these cars cost? This isn't a Honda dealership. Maybe you should try the used car lot down the street." The showroom seemed to pause. Other customers glanced over, sensing tension. A young salesman named Marcus shifted uncomfortably nearby, recognizing something familiar about the woman in the hoodie, but unable to place it. "I'd like to test drive this Ferrari," Ronda said, her voice steady but with an edge that made Marcus step back instinctively. Blackwood's expression hardened. "Listen, little girl, I've been in this business for 30 years. I can spot a time waster from a mile away. Women like you come in here all the time, taking selfies with cars they'll never afford. You probably don't even have a driver's license, let alone the credit score for financing." Ronda's jaw tightened. She'd faced down killers in the octagon, but this casual dismissal hit differently. "Women like me? Don't play dumb. You're probably some Instagram influencer looking for content. Well, this isn't a photo studio. These are serious machines for serious people." Blackwood gestured dismissively. "Security will escort you out if necessary." The other customers watched in fascination and horror. A well-dressed woman whispered to her husband, "That's disgusting. She hasn't done anything wrong." But no one intervened. Marcus finally found his courage. "Mr. Blackwood, maybe we should—" "Marcus, get back to work. I'll handle this." Blackwood turned back to Ronda, his voice dripping with false patience. "Look, I'm sure you're a nice girl, but this is a business, not a charity. These cars are for people who've actually accomplished something in life." Ronda's hands clenched into fists, the same hands that had submitted world champions. Accomplished something? Real accomplishments, business success, professional achievements, not whatever it is young women do these days for attention. Blackwood's smirk was infuriating. "Now, I'm going to ask you nicely one more time to leave before I call security." The showroom fell silent, except for the soft jazz playing overhead. Ronda looked around at the faces staring at her, some sympathetic, others curious, a few openly hostile. She thought about all the fights she'd won, all the barriers she'd broken, all the little girls who looked up to her. This man had no idea who he was talking to. "You know what?" Ronda said, pulling out her phone. "You're absolutely right. I should leave." Blackwood's relief was visible. Finally, some sense. But instead of heading for the door, Ronda started dialing. "I'm calling my financial advisor. Turns out I need to make a rather large purchase today." The phone rang twice before a crisp voice answered. "Goldman Sachs Private Wealth Management. This is Jennifer." "Jennifer, it's Ronda. I need you to wire $350,000 immediately. Cash purchase." Ronda's voice carried clearly across the silent showroom. Blackwood's confident smirk began to falter. Other customers leaned in, suddenly very interested in this conversation. "Of course, Miss Rousey. Which account would you like me to use? The main investment account has sufficient liquid assets, or would you prefer the fight purse account?" The color drained from Blackwood's face. "Miss Rousey." The name hit him like a freight train. "The fight purse account is fine. Wire it to—" Ronda looked directly at Blackwood, whose mouth had fallen open. "Actually, Jennifer, cancel that. I've decided to take my business elsewhere, somewhere that treats all customers with respect." She ended the call and slipped the phone back into her pocket. The showroom remained frozen, everyone processing what they'd just witnessed. Marcus stepped forward, his face pale. "Miss Rousey, I am so incredibly sorry. Please let me—" "Miss Rousey." Blackwood's voice cracked slightly. His brain was finally catching up, connecting the dots he should have seen immediately. The athletic build, the confident posture, the way she carried herself like a fighter. Ronda pulled off her baseball cap, letting her blonde hair fall free. Several customers gasped in recognition. Camera phones started appearing, though no one dared start recording yet. "That's right," Ronda said, her voice calm but deadly. "Ronda Rousey, UFC bantamweight champion, Olympic medalist. You know, someone who's actually accomplished something in life." If you enjoyed this story and want to see how Ronda handles this situation, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Drop a comment below. What would you do if you were in Ronda's shoes? Your engagement helps us bring you more incredible stories like this one. Blackwood's face cycled through several shades of red and white. Around them, other customers began whispering excitedly, phones discreetly appearing as word spread through the showroom. The young salesman Marcus looked like he wanted to disappear into the marble floor. I had no idea," Blackwood stammered, his earlier arrogance evaporating like morning mist. "Of course you didn't," Ronda replied, her voice carrying the same controlled intensity she brought to the octagon. "Because you saw a woman in casual clothes and immediately assumed I was worthless. You didn't see a person, you saw a stereotype." The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. Here stood one of the most successful female athletes in history, being lectured about accomplishment by a man who'd inherited his father's dealership and spent 30 years selling other people's achievements. "Miss Rousey, please let me make this right," Blackwood pleaded, sweat beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. "I was completely out of line, completely unprofessional." "You think this is about professionalism?" Ronda stepped closer, and Blackwood instinctively backed up. "This is about basic human decency. How many other women have you treated like this? How many people have you dismissed because they didn't fit your narrow definition of success?" A well-dressed elderly woman nearby spoke up. "I've been shopping here for 15 years, and I've seen him do this before. Always to women, always to younger people. It's disgusting." Other customers began nodding and murmuring agreement. The tide was turning, and Blackwood could feel his reputation crumbling in real time. Marcus, desperate to salvage something from this disaster, stepped forward again. "Miss Rousey, I want to personally apologize for Mr. Blackwood's behavior. It doesn't represent our values or your values." Ronda cut him off, but her tone was gentler with the young salesman. "Marcus, right? How long have you worked here?" 2 years, ma'am." "Have you seen this behavior before?" Marcus glanced nervously at his boss, then back at Ronda. The truth was written all over his face. "Yes, ma'am, I have." The admission hung in the air like a challenge. Blackwood's face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "Marcus, you're fired." "No," Ronda said firmly. "He's not. Marcus just showed more integrity in 10 seconds than you've shown in 30 years. If anyone should be fired, it's the person who created this toxic environment." The crowd murmured approval. Someone in the back called out, "She's right." Others nodded vigorously. Blackwood realized he was losing control of the situation entirely. "Look, this is all a misunderstanding. I treat all my customers equally." "Equally terribly, maybe," interrupted the elderly woman who'd spoken earlier. "I'm Margaret Whitman, and I've spent over $2 million here over the years. I've watched you dismiss women, minorities, anyone who doesn't look like your golf buddies." "It's 2023, not 1953. Ronda smiled at Margaret's support, then turned back to Blackwood. "Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to walk out of here, and I'm going to tell this story. Not because I want revenge, but because people need to know that this kind of discrimination still exists. Please, Miss Rousey, think about what this could do to my business," Blackwood pleaded. "I am thinking about it," Ronda replied. "I'm thinking about all the customers you've lost because of your prejudice. I'm thinking about all the young women who've been made to feel small in places like this. Your business problems are the consequences of your choices." She started walking toward the door, then paused and turned back. "Oh, and Richard, next time you want to lecture someone about accomplishments, maybe don't pick someone who's literally famous for never giving up." The showroom erupted in applause as Ronda headed for the exit. Marcus hurried after her, catching up just as she reached the door. "Miss Rousey, wait!" he called out. "I know this doesn't fix anything, but I want you to know that not everyone here thinks like him. Some of us actually respect what you've accomplished." Ronda studied the young man's face, seeing genuine remorse and embarrassment. "Marcus, you seem like a good kid. My advice? Find somewhere else to work. Somewhere that aligns with your values." "I've been thinking about that for months," Marcus admitted. "Today just confirmed it." As Ronda pushed through the glass doors, she could hear Blackwood behind her, frantically trying to do damage control with the remaining customers. But the damage was done, and everyone knew it. Outside, the California sun felt warm on her face. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through her contacts, stopping at a familiar name. Tony Stark's personal assistant had given her the number for a private exotic car dealer who worked exclusively with celebrities and athletes. "Time to buy that Ferrari from someone who actually deserves the commission," she muttered, dialing the number. As she waited for the call to connect, Ronda reflected on the encounter. She'd faced down Olympic competitors and UFC champions, but somehow this felt like one of her most important victories. Not because she'd won, but because she'd stood up for every person who'd ever been dismissed, underestimated, or discriminated against. The phone connected and a warm voice answered. "Elite Motors, this is David. How can I help you today?" "Hi David, this is Ronda Rousey. I'm looking to buy a Ferrari, and I was told you're the person to call." "Miss Rousey, absolutely, I'd be honored to help you find the perfect car. When would you like to come in?" "How about right now?" The video of Ronda's encounter at Blackwood Ferrari went viral within hours. Marcus had discreetly recorded the confrontation on his phone, and after quitting his job that afternoon, he'd posted it with the caption, "This is why I can't work here anymore. Everyone deserves respect." The footage showed Blackwood's dismissive attitude, Ronda's composed responses, and the moment his face went white when he realized who she was. By the next morning, the video had 12 million views and was trending on every social platform. Comments poured in from around the world, with people sharing their own stories of discrimination and praising Ronda for handling the situation with such grace. Meanwhile, at Elite Motors across town, Ronda was having a completely different experience. David Chen, the owner, had greeted her personally and spent 2 hours showing her various Ferraris, discussing performance specs and sharing stories about other athletes he'd worked with. No judgment, no condescension, just genuine enthusiasm for matching the right car to the right person. "The 488 Spider you're interested in is actually perfect for someone with your lifestyle," David explained as they walked around a pristine white model. "It's got the performance for track days, but it's comfortable enough for daily driving. Plus, the handling is incredibly responsive, almost like it reads your mind." Ronda ran her hand along the car's sleek lines. Can I take it for a test drive? Of course. Let me grab the keys. David's enthusiasm was infectious. Fair warning, though. Once you drive it, you're going to want to take it home. As they prepared for the test drive, Ronda's phone buzzed constantly with notifications. The story was exploding across news outlets, social media, and sports websites. ESPN had already called for a comment, and her publicist was fielding interview requests from major networks. Everything okay? David asked, noticing her phone's constant buzzing. Just some work stuff, Ronda replied, sliding into the Ferrari's driver's seat. The leather felt perfect, the controls intuitive. Let's see what this baby can do. The test drive was everything David had promised. The Ferrari responded to her every input with precision and power, the engine's roar sending adrenaline through her veins. It reminded her of the moment before a fight, that perfect balance of control and raw energy. When they returned to the dealership, Ronda's mind was made up. I'll take it. Excellent choice, David beamed. Let me get the paperwork started. Cash purchase, I assume? Actually, Ronda said, pulling out her phone, I want to do something a little different. She opened her social media app and started a live stream. Within seconds, thousands of viewers joined, the number climbing rapidly as word spread that she was going live. Hey everyone, Ronda said, holding the phone so both she and the Ferrari were visible. So yesterday I had an interesting experience at a Ferrari dealership. I'm sure some of you have seen the video by now. The comments exploded with support, anger at Blackwood's behavior, and curiosity about what she was doing now. Well, I wanted to show you what customer service should look like, Ronda continued, gesturing to David, who looked surprised but pleased to be included. This is David Chen from Elite Motors, and he's been absolutely incredible. Professional, knowledgeable, and he treated me like a human being from the moment I walked in. David stepped into frame, still looking slightly stunned at being part of a live stream with millions of viewers. Thank you, Miss Rousey. We believe every customer deserves respect and excellent service, regardless of who they are. And that's exactly why I'm buying this beautiful Ferrari from David, instead of from the place that judged me based on my clothes, Ronda announced. The comment section went wild with fire emojis and applause. As David processed the paperwork, Ronda continued engaging with her audience. You know what the craziest part is? That dealership owner had no idea that his 30 seconds of prejudice was going to cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not just from me, but from everyone who's decided to take their business elsewhere after seeing how he treats people. The numbers supported her point. Blackwood Ferrari's social media pages were being flooded with negative reviews and boycott threats. Several high-profile celebrities had already announced they were moving their business to other dealerships. The thing is, Ronda continued, this isn't really about me. I can afford to shop anywhere. But what about the young woman saving up for her dream car? What about the successful businesswoman who doesn't fit someone's stereotype? Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. David returned with the completed paperwork and keys. All set, Miss Rousey. Congratulations on your new Ferrari. Ronda held up the keys to the camera. And there you have it, folks. Sometimes the best revenge is just taking your business somewhere that actually values you. She ended the live stream and turned to David. I hope you're ready for some new customers. I have a feeling you're about to get very busy. David laughed. Bring them on. We'd be honored to serve anyone you recommend. As Ronda prepared to drive her new Ferrari home, her phone rang. The caller ID showed a number she didn't recognize, but something made her answer. Miss Rousey, this is Richard Blackwood. Please, I need to speak with you. Ronda almost hung up, but curiosity got the better of her. What do you want, Richard? I want to apologize, properly, and I want to make things right. His voice sounded strained, desperate. My business is falling apart. I've lost 6 major clients today, and my staff is quitting. The phone hasn't stopped ringing with people canceling orders. That's unfortunate, Ronda replied, her tone neutral. Please, there has to be something I can do. Some way to fix this. Ronda considered his words carefully. She could hear the genuine panic in his voice, but she also remembered the casual cruelty of his dismissal, the way he'd made her feel small for no reason other than his own prejudices. Richard, you want to know how to fix this? Start by examining why you treated me that way in the first place. Then think about how many other people you've dismissed over the years. The problem isn't that you got caught, it's that you thought that behavior was acceptable in the first place. I know, I was wrong, completely wrong, but surely there is something, Ronda interrupted. Use this as a learning experience. Train your staff on treating all customers with respect. Implement policies that prevent discrimination. Actually change. Don't just apologize because you got caught. The line was quiet for a moment. Then Blackwood spoke again, his voice smaller. Would you consider giving me a second chance? Maybe coming back to the dealership? Ronda looked at her beautiful new Ferrari, then at David, who was helping another customer with the same enthusiasm and respect he'd shown her. Richard, I already gave my business to someone who earned it from day one, but here's some free advice. If you really want to change, start with the people who work for you. Marcus was a good employee who tried to do the right thing, and you fired him for it. Maybe start there. She hung up and slipped the phone into her pocket. David approached with a smile. Everything all right? Perfect, Ronda replied, climbing into her new car. Absolutely perfect. As she drove through Beverly Hills in her stunning white Ferrari, Ronda reflected on the past 24 hours. She'd faced discrimination, stood up for herself and others, and turned a negative experience into a positive outcome. More importantly, the conversation had started a broader dialogue about respect, prejudice, and the power of treating people with dignity. Her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Just wanted to thank you again. I start at Elite Motors next week. David says he's been looking for someone with integrity. Ronda smiled and pulled over to respond. Congratulations. You did the right thing yesterday, even when it was hard. That's real character. As she continued driving, Ronda thought about all the young women who would see this story, who would learn that they didn't have to accept discrimination quietly, that they had the power to take their business elsewhere and demand better treatment. The Ferrari purred beneath her as she accelerated onto the highway, the California sun warming her face through the open top. Sometimes the best victories weren't won in the octagon. They were won by simply refusing to accept anything less than the respect every person deserved. Behind her, Blackwood Ferrari was learning that lesson the hard way, one cancelled order at a time. But ahead of her, Elite Motors was discovering that treating people right wasn't just good ethics, it was good business. And somewhere in Beverly Hills, a young salesman named Marcus was getting ready to start fresh at a company that valued integrity over prejudice, proving that sometimes standing up for what's right leads to exactly where you're supposed to be. The story had gone viral, not because of the drama, but because it reminded everyone that respect isn't earned by wealth or status. It's owed to every human being who walks through your door. And when businesses forget that lesson, customers like Ronda Rousey are there to remind them, one Ferrari purchase at a time. If this story inspired you to demand better treatment and stand up for what's right, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share your own experiences with discrimination in the comments below. Your story matters and could help someone else find their courage. Hit that like button to help us reach more people with stories that make a difference. Together, we can create a world where everyone gets the respect they deserve.